You should be back live now.
Oh, okay. Yes, no, maybe. I don't know.
Sorry, I
Can
didn't
you
realize I was going to have to.
repeat the question? You're not the boss of me now.
Malcolm in the Middle, huh?
Yeah, I'm ready for it. Just finished watching Longmire for the second time. I don't know. I really like that show.
Longmire. Which one is that?
It's about a sheriff in
It's a
Wyoming.
Western thing, right?
Yeah. Jordan, what's up, Jordan?
Jordan.
We're doing a. I just sit here and talk to everybody for a minute. Mike has
I
a
got a
meeting that
dumb
he's
little
got to
meeting I
attend
gotta
to,
do.
and then we'll get into the actual episode. So you can hang out with me for a minute, and then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of things. We're
He said he'd get you into his nuts and bolts.
yeah, we're doing season 7, episode 6. The sun also roses. So it's about the weed cultivators that teach them how to grow things, and they grow roses but not weed. And then they find out that the sponsor is actually a head shop. So
I don't know that they ever find it out though.
yeah, I don't think they
Yeah.
do. I don't think they do.
Yeah. Sorry guys, I had to cut it off and cut it back on. Mason wanted to go ahead and get started editing. So
Yeah. So
let's see. I have to have a meeting on a Sunday at noon.
all right.
Which is
Jordan
weird.
said I'm at work right now, doing busy work, so I'm here for the long haul. Awesome. Yeah. Well, we'll definitely jump into the show. The actual episode here in just a few minutes. She's got one of her coworkers watching the show last week.
Jordan, how you doing,
Awesome.
man?
Thanks for spreading us with your coworkers, spreading us out. That sounded awful. I've been watching that show, Silo, Fallout Vibes. Awesome. I am getting ready to watch that new Netflix, American, whatever the heck it is. Yeah, America something or another. I'm not sure. Yeah, some Western thing. It looks violent. Yeah, that's what it is, right? It's the story of it's a Mormon story. Yeah, they were out there wilding out. I know the government was on their ass and shit. Yeah, it's pretty crazy stuff. So yeah, we'll jump into Bwaaa here in a minute. We'll get into the actual King of the Hill season 7, episode 6. Silo. Yeah, I've not heard of that one. I'm going to check that out, Nod. Yes, no, maybe. I don't know. Can you repeat the question? You're not the boss of me now. You're not the boss of me now. And you're not so big. Kind of ready for they're doing a 4 episode, I think, 4 or 5 episode revival of Malcolm in the Middle. Damn, that took me for hours. I'm not on my game today. I haven't eaten nothing. But yeah, while we're here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of Bwaaa. So grab an Alamo beer and join us live here on Bwaaa, King of the Hill Rewatch Podcast. Yeah, we'll be breaking down season 7, episode 6. The sun also roses. And I'll say it again whenever we record, but I'll go ahead and say it here. It's a play on the Ernest Hemingway book, The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. So there you go. I'll make sure to say that again for the recording of the podcast. I'm getting thumbnails and stuff sorted out, just a little YouTube action. The sun also roses. I think it's funny seeing Hank in a tie-dye shirt. In this episode, Hank wears a nice little tie-dye. Yes, no, maybe, I don't know. Can you repeat the question? So what's up? What's everybody doing? What are y'all doing on this fine Sunday morning? Oh no, you should have got it, dude. I actually have a cool guest coming up for us. He does. I can't remember the guy's name. It's on. Let's see. Hold on. I've got him on Facebook. I've been in contact with him. Let me find his name. His name is Mauricio Alvarado, and he probably would be available right now to talk. Actually, if I had him on. Oh, he's having a cup of tea. Old Nod with a cup of tea. What kind of tea are you drinking there, Nod? His name's Mauricio Alvarado. He's an LA guy. He knows some pretty decent people out in LA. He does restorations for Fleischer Studios. So Fleischer Studios is one of the earliest animation studios in America, ran by a guy named Max Fleischer, and I believe it was his brother. And they developed what they call the rotoscope method of animation. They were the first ones to animate like using a human form. So what they would do is they would capture footage of somebody walking, and then they would lay and draw like the person walking, and that's how they would he's drinking Irish breakfast tea. Hell yeah. So that's how they would like animate, using the most human way to animate something, like actually using humans and video and stuff like that, and then redrawing it out. But he's restored stuff like Gumby and different animations and stuff that are in the Fleischer Studios realm. So I think Fleischer Studios was Betty Boop. I think Fleischer created Popeye. Actually, I think Max Fleischer was Popeye. Don't hold me to that. I'm pretty sure that's what it was though. But he does some of that restoration stuff through Fleischer, the Fleischer family, and he's a restorer. He helps do restoration. But one of the cool things that he does is he has official licensing to sell King of the Hill stuff. So that's how I kind of like found him. He was in a King of the Hill group. Yeah, Superman cartoons. Fleischer did the Superman cartoons in the 40s too. But Mauricio also has like a licensing to create and sell. I don't know if it's create or how it works, but he's a licensed to sell official King of the Hill stuff. So that's how I found him. Was in a group, the Rockin' Pins guy. He is the pins guy. Yeah. So Black Ant's actually aware of him. That's cool. Yeah, so he has officially licensed to do that. So I thought it was kind of cool that he does a few different things too, like with the animation side of stuff. Because if anybody knows me and the other work that I've done, I have another podcast. It's no long. It was like a one-off run with an animator called John Fountain, who worked on. He goes by F on social media, and in his daily life, he likes to be called F. But F and I did a conversation, animation podcast called Animation Conversation. You can find it here on YouTube, and in that journey with him, we got to talk a lot about cool animation stuff. So yeah, I love animation. So I thought that was cool about Mauricio, that he does all of this animation screenings and scanning and restoring and stuff like that. It's pretty awesome. He does a lot of the scanning for them and the fine tuning and get them to look good, which is awesome. He does a lot of stuff out in LA with that. Shout out to LA right now on fire. Yeah, if you can donate to anything that's going on out there, I would implore anybody that's got the spare $10, $20, whatever's helping them out there. I know they're going through it right now. But yeah, so I'm gonna have him on the show. I'm gonna have him on to talk about, of course, his King of the Hill connection, but I'm also gonna have him on and we're gonna talk about what he does for animation and stuff like that, because I'm a huge animation guy, huge animation, love animation. It's about pretty much most of what I watch is animated stuff. So it'd be great to get him on and talk to him about what he does. So we're gonna have that coming up for you guys. Hopefully next week. I probably could have had it this week, but Mike had to do this intermittent thing and stuff like that, so I kind of put it off. Felix the cat, that's another Fleischer. Felix was a Fleischer Studios. Popeye for sure. Popeye the Sailor Man. Boop, boop. Yeah, so Popeye is actually was 90 years old in 2023. I'm scrolling through his Facebook. I've scrolled pretty far down, it seems. Vavoom. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. Comic book Popeyes in public domain this year. Yep. Yeah, you're right. The public domain gets cooler and cooler every year. It does. It really does. We get cooler and cooler stuff in the public domain. We're getting to the point where we're going to start getting a lot of classic books, classic movies, cartoons. As everybody knows, A.A. Milne's Winnie the Pooh hit copyright last year, or public domain last year, which is really cool because then you get these weird horror movies, which I'm also a big movie guy. I like weird movies and stuff. So you got a bunch of weird movies out of that whole thing. So I think they're doing one with Popeye too. So it's called the Pooniverse, is what they call it. The I think it's the Pooniverse. Maybe. Yeah, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Yes, the Sailor Man, the Popeye horror movie. So they're doing a lot of that stuff. Frankenstein and Dracula will be in public domain next year. Yeah, those are two really good classic monster films. I'm trying to look up. Okay, so the universe that they're creating, it's a British film creators that are doing it. It's called the Twisted Childhood Universe. So far, they have Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and then Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, which came out last year. And then the upcoming movies they have are Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, Bambi the Reckoning, Pinocchio Unstrung, Pooniverse Monsters Assemble, which I imagine is a accumulation of all these weird monsters they're creating. Yeah, Gendy Tartakovsky. We have an interview with his college roommate, Rob Renzetti, on the Animation and Conversation podcast. Uh, cool interview if you want to go check that out. Yeah, it's called Popeye the Slayer Man. and it comes out sometime this year in 2025. Popeye the Slayer, man, boop boop. Another cool, weird horror movie like that is Santa Slays, which I have an interview. We did a David Letterman podcast, and I got to interview a guy named Jay Stern, who is a producer of movies. He produced the Rush Hour movies. He produced Love and Basketball. He produced Money Talks. Chris Tucker, he's kind of one of the ones responsible for launching Chris Tucker's career, actually his movie career. He was a producer on the Santa Slays movie. Well, I'm not against it, Crowbar. I'm not against it. I really I like when somebody takes something and reinvents it. You know, we get so many revivals, and you know, I'm not hating on revivals because King of the Hill's coming back. Hallelujah, holla back. But I really like when they take something and they put their own spin on it. You know, like a violent Winnie the Pooh. Like, who would have thought that Winnie the Pooh, and the premise of the movie that I like so much is it's like Winnie the Pooh, Piglet. They just been stuck in the 100 Acre Woods for all this time by themselves, and then Christopher Robin is now like a young adult, and he comes back, and he's like trying to show his girlfriend his imaginary friends, like stuffed animals, but they were really real, and they're out there just fucking wigged out, and they end up killing him and his girlfriend. So I don't know, I like it. Yeah, as long as you're not getting like Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 10, you know, like I'm pretty okay with it. I feel like with that though, that's a trope for horror movies. That's like a thing that's in that scope where you get Freddy 1, 2, 3, 10. You know, you get Freddy 10, whatever. As long as they could keep it exciting year after year for the next generation of movie watchers, I think it's okay. I'm not too I'm not too far against it. I'm more for it, especially if it's live action. I'm not a big fan of like modern animation. It's like when they redid Fairly Odd Parents and it's all like digitized and stuff and it's no longer hand drawn. I really like appreciate hand drawn animation way more. I don't know. I think hand drawn animation just has a certain warmth to it. Yeah, for sure. It was like the video game Cuphead, completely hand drawn. I really appreciate it. Like, not that I don't appreciate digital art because it all takes time to make, but just knowing how much more difficult it is to do the hand drawn stuff makes you appreciate it a little more, I think. I was trying to figure out how to just get me on there. I don't know how to. I don't know how to operate this equipment here. Yeah, I really like the Terrifier stuff. That's pretty good. Yeah, Art the Clown's a great character. Not only is it a great character, the guy's been able to create really amazing movies with literally like no budget. And I feel like as a as a movie creator like that guy is, somebody's making movies, having low budget like he's had, but then making the amount of money that he's making off of it is crazy. The guy's literally making these movies for like $30,000-$40,000, and he's making millions off of them. And I really think that's cool. I think we need more independent successes, because whenever one small group controls everything, it takes away from the art. It's just like right now in the animation industry, and the animation industry as a whole for a very long time has been controlled by a small group of people. I feel like if we could shatter that bubble of all these companies that like gatekeep shit, we could get so much better stuff, so much better animated shows, way more better animated movies period, just like the movie industry in general. I feel like that bubble needs to be popped. We need more independent successes. I know every now and again there's an independent film that always does good and always gets out there and stuff like that, but we need more of that. I feel like there's not enough independent successes, because nowadays, really, the technology is so accessible to anybody. Anybody could get the software to make animated movies. Anybody could get the equipment needed to make a decent movie. You know, Blair Witch, they did it back in the day too with just a handy cam kind of thing. So it's like the technology is now so readily accessible. Editing software, it's harder for them to gatekeep it, but we just have to support independent more. I feel like as a whole, people are just cool with going to the movie theater and watching whatever's thrown at them, and they love it, they like it. Good movie, bad movie, whatever. These movies still make their money, or some don't, obviously, but there's always money being made somewhere. I agree. Yeah, Damien Leone, he should be able to do pretty much what he's done with the Terrifier. Should put him in to do with pretty much whatever horror movie franchises he wants to do. Didn't he want to do something with those franchises though? Hasn't he like directly said he wants to do something with those movies? Either way, yeah, he should get to do some stuff. I think he would do an amazing job with whatever franchise they allowed him to do anything with. Mike should be done soon, and then we could get started. Sorry about the delay. If you haven't yet, you could like and subscribe to our channel here and hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified every time we go live. We also post shorts quite regularly. Yeah, horror movie podcast is. I wasn't not necessarily horror movie, but I wanted to start a movie review thing where I reviewed weird, like, what do they call it, like drive-in movies, weird monster movies, just off the wall movies. Not necessarily just horror, but all kinds of weird. The Hillbilly Hell drive-in movie show. Yeah, B movies, but not even particularly B movies. Some of them are actually A movies were when they were being created, but like pre-code films like 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, all of it, like old movies. I watch a lot of movies, so just any era would be really cool. Just talk about movies that a lot of people aren't discussing. And then movies that have been already discussed, I guess, science, it was MTK. They've done a lot of Mystery Science. They've done a lot of movies. Or MST, not MTK, MST 3000. They've done a lot of science movie. They've done a lot of movies, science fiction stuff. But I really just don't want to be in a bubble. I don't want to be like, oh, we're only going to do science fiction, or we're only going to do horror, or we're only going to do comedy. I just want to be able to watch any kind of movies. I want to do something like theirs. Sadly, there's already a lot of people already doing stuff, so it would have to be like a reinventing the wheel. I wanted to do something unique, but I don't know what that would look like. Yeah, I would take movie requests. Definitely. I feel like any type of community involvement is like necessary for the survival of a podcast. Engagement's everything. The reason why our podcast right here has anybody sitting in chat listening to us is because of me engaging. I've engaged with people in the community of King of the Hill. I engage with people online all the time. I talk about my podcast when I talk about myself sometimes. Anytime I enter a new community anywhere in my daily life, anywhere I go, if I see a King of the Hill related tattoo on somebody's arm, I'm like, hey, I got a King of the Hill podcast, right? Or I see a King of the Hill shirt, or I hear somebody say pocket sand, or what, I hear anything, any mention, and I just walk up to the random person that I heard it from, and I'm like, hey, I got a King of the Hill podcast, #1 King of the Hill podcast in the world. Don't forget it. That's the only way to keep these things going. I feel like word of mouth has grown that's why Knott's here. I feel like word of mouth has grown the podcast more than any advertisement I could pay for. Just on our YouTube, I'll give you an idea of it. Just on our YouTube, let me go to the analytics page. So obviously these numbers aren't amazing numbers, but for just a small little podcast like us, we had 20.4K views in the last 28 days just on YouTube. What's up? Blah 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 blah. And we're the #1 podcast on the network. So out of the 100 and something plus shows, we are the top ones on this network. So there you go. Me and Mike have been growing it for years. Mike he's not as able to do as much as the community engagement that I do. I do pretty much all of the social media engagement and stuff like that. And then in the last, so on the YouTube, it's over 20.6K. And then on our podcast, like listening to on podcast platforms and all that kind of stuff, we are sitting at 5,165. So I mean, we're listened to for sure. People like us. I would love to grow that more this year, though. I'm hoping with the revival of King of the Hill and stuff like that, that will pop off a little bigger. We're deep into the show now, so we actually had a creator of the show. Gary Yap is his name. He was a storyboard director. He found our show organically on YouTube and has interacted since he found it. So I thought that was really cool to have somebody who's worked on the show stumble on our show randomly and interact with us. So yeah, that was cool. Hopefully one day we'll be able to have him on. The thing with podcasting is whenever you're going to get a guest, not everybody, generally younger people, people in their 40s, 30s, 20s, generally they're like, yeah, I'll come on. But people that are a little bit older, 50s, 60s, they're a little more hesitant. And I understand. And especially people who have created things. I'd reached out to Jim Dotrieve. He is very interactive in the Facebook King of the Hill channels, like different groups. But he doesn't want to be on a podcast. He has no desire to sit and talk about anything, and that's cool. I respect that. I appreciate him for even having a conversation with me at all, and I got to talk to him a little bit about the show and stuff through these interactions in the community group on Facebook. So that's why it's tough. I reached out to at the very beginning of this. I'd reached out. I've talked about it before on the show. I'd reached out to Wes Archer, and great guy, great artist. I interact with him on Instagram, as much as I possibly can, and he's just not able to do it. He's just not in the cards for him currently. A lot of his issue though is he's actively working on the show. So since he's actively working on the show, he's like bound by NDAs. So he's not really able to participate as much as I would like him to. But that's like one of my goals for this year. We have a guest. We're actually going to record with him on Wednesday evening. He has had a lot of creators on his show. He's had a lot of people that are directed or had some type of connection to King of the Hill on his show. And I'm going to try to tap in with the network with him a little bit and tap into some of these guys that have worked on some of these shows and stuff. And hopefully be able to get consistently, maybe, every couple episodes or so for our Friday episodes, have somebody that's actually worked on King of the Hill. That's my overall goal. Because what's a King of the Hill show without having some of the creators on it? There was a King of the Hill podcast before we started ours. We're actually now, I believe, the longest running King of the Hill podcast ever that's been out there, at least for my market research. We're definitely the longest running King of the Hill related podcast. We had one before us that was two girls. That was the Ho Yeah podcast. And they actually had Kathy Najmi on there. So, I mean, I'm just as capable as anybody else. So I feel like here soon, I'm going to start reaching out deeper into the depths of the internet and seeing if I could get maybe some voice actors and stuff that have actually worked on it. I did reach out to John Redcorn's voice actor, but man, bro wanted like $5,000 to be on the podcast. And I was like, yeah, it's not in the budget, brother. Nice talking to you. I thought that was kind of steep for a 20-minute conversation, 30-minute conversation with somebody. Might have been an hour, But when you're somebody who's made a lot of money acting and things like that, your time is a little bit more expensive. Would have been cool to have him on, though. Yeah, would have been cool. It was Joss. Oh man, I feel bad. I don't even know his name. Joss Stone, I think, is his name. No, not Joss Stone. That's a fucking English singer-songwriter. Jonathan Joss is his name. Jonathan Joss, not Josh Stone. I said Joss Stone. Jonathan Joss is his name. But I'm going to reach out to some of these voice actors. That's not Jonathan Joss. I've already reached out to him. I might actually reach out to him again if our show like blows up, like I hope it does with this revival. I might reach out to him again and see if we can work something out that's not $5,000. But he's a cool guy. He's done some good stuff. Kathy Najimy is one I'd like to have on too. I really wanted to get Dale's voice actor on before he passed, but I couldn't ever get a hold of him. He's like impossible to get. Johnny Hardwick. He had no contact information. He did use Facebook. So I tried to reach out a bunch on Facebook and I never broke through the wall to get in contact with him. But after he passed away, I managed to get a buddy of his, really, really close friend of his. And we had him on and we kind of memorialized Johnny Hardwick. And he kind of told his story about his relationship with Johnny. And he actually gave us some inside scoop on how many episodes had already been recorded before it was actually released. So that was really cool.
This is our sports studio. Okay, that's Rusty.
I'm Rusty.
But this is where we record all our.
Yeah, Mike's on a business call. But so we do have an interview with Johnny Hardwick, one of Johnny Hardwick's best friends. And that's the hard part about this is a lot of these voice actors are getting up there in age and stuff like that. So I want to try to start getting as many of these people as I can on the show. Because like Kathy Najimy, she's 67 now, so I really want to start getting some of these voice actors involved, at least on the show, get a show with them. That's the goals. Yeah, I mean, you got to think a lot of these shows came out when we were kids. Yeah, even the young ones can pass. You're right. We lost some. Some of them pretty young. I wouldn't say Tom Petty was young, but a lot of the other ones are pretty young. Actually, I'm going to see something here. Let me see. Kathy Najimy. She has a cameo. That might be a way to reach out to her. Man, $167 for a cameo. I might have to slap 167 down and see if I could get her to do a personal video for us. And maybe get her on the show through that. I don't know. Maybe see if I could get her on the show. I got to find a way to get in contact with her. That's the problem with a lot of this is how in the hell do I get a hold of some of these people? I do have some contacts out in Los Angeles, but I don't have a whole hell of a lot. Like I'm just some dude that lives in Texas that podcasts, so like everything I've done has been to me what I consider a great miracle. Well, that's great, Luke. We might have to see what we could rally up on that and see if we could get some donations in from some of the fans and see if we could get that get a video for the fans and we'll run that on an episode. hopefully through that, I hope I could like create a relationship, like even just through a cameo, be like, whatever the request for the cameo is, be like, hey, we would love if you would reach out to us. This is the video we want. Give her the guidelines for the video, but then throw some little caveat in there. It would be great if we could have you on the show. I don't really know how to get in contact with your people to be able to do this. If you could somehow give us the information I'll reach out to her team or whatever I got to do to get her at least on the show. I don't have many skills in life, but networking is one that I'm pretty good at. I just got to find the door. It's like once I find the door, I can open the door, but I got to know where the door is to open it. I don't know where the door is currently. I'm sure I could quickly find out. I really need to pay for an IMDb Pro account. On the IMDb Pro accounts, it gives you contact information and stuff for some of these people's public relations, like whoever's handling their public relations and stuff. Dan Herman too is one that I've reached out to on social media. How much is IMDb Pro? Oh, I don't know. I think it's 20 a month or 100. It's 149 annually, and then I think it's 20 a month if you just pay for the monthly group, the monthly thing. Stephen Root. No, that's somebody I haven't reached out to yet. I haven't reached out to Stephen Root. I haven't, like I said, I haven't really reached out to a lot of the voice actors. The only one that I've actually tried to get and reach out to is Johnny Hardwick. I tried pretty hard, like being my favorite character from the show. He was somebody I really, really tried hard to get a hold of. And Dan Herman, they're the only two that I've like actually reached out to contact. Dan Herman, I kind of, I think his name's Dan Herman. I'm really blanking on names today, really bad. David Herman, sorry, not Dan. David Herman. I've reached out to David Herman quite a bit, but I reach out to him on social media. Like I'll comment on his stuff and be like, "Hey, man, we'd really love to have you on the show," that kind of thing, and no answer or return or anything on that. It would be cool if they just know we existed, which I'm sure that some of these people know we exist. The only reason why I know that somebody somewhere knows we exist is because I used to call. It's been a long time since I've done it. I used to call Bandera Production, which is Mike Judge and Greg Daniels production studio that they have for animation now. It's like their own studio with they're doing everything out of it. It's like their own thing they created. And I used to call the front office there 3 times a week, 4 times a week. If I got bored, I'd just call them. Sometimes I call them twice a day, trying to get something, and then to no avail. But I tried. So at least somebody in that building knows that there was an annoying dude from Texas that has called multiple times. And I might start doing that again. I don't know. Stephen Root would be a good get. Stephen Root would be a good get. David Herman, I think, would be a good get too. And David Herman too, he was like, he's done. No, you're good. He's done other stuff. It's actually been. I had like 12 people watching a while ago. He actually was an original cast member on Mad TV. So it'd be cool to just to have him for not just King of the Hill, but for the other stuff that he's done too. And Mike's back.
Hello.
But we were just really just chatting, man.
That's great.
We were looking at different things. We were thinking that a great way to reach out to Kathy Najimy for the show would be, she's got a Cameo where she does cameo videos. It's quite expensive.
Yeah.
It's like $170, $180 for a cameo.
Let's do that.
But I think it would be great to reach out to her through the Cameo kind of thing, because I feel like that's the only direct way that like you could really connect with her.
I used to get cameos done all the time, and what I would do is this was when we were doing the card games, board games, all that kind of stuff, goofy videos we were doing. I would go on and I would sort them by price. Anybody $5 and down, I would just go ahead and request.
Request.
I got some guy that used to be on the Flash TV show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Rebecca Black, who sang that song Friday.
Yeah, she was.
I got her doing a thing.
That's cool.
And I would write these original scripts for them to read. So it was pretty much the weirdest thing they've read all week.
Yeah, well, what I thought about doing is having reaching out to some people that are on the show that have cameos.
Yeah, man.
And adding in, hey, would you like to be on our show?
I think that's
Please
wonderful.
Come on our show, kind of thing.
Well, if nothing else, we can get them on there and they can just push the show.
Yeah,
that's what we'll put in the thing.
That's if we have, if you have Kathy Najimy do something for. Well, that's the thing, is she was on the Oh Yeah podcast.
Oh,
I watched their interview, and it was pretty cool. And it was a woman-based podcast, and Kathy Najimy is a feminist. Well, she's a woman, so all women should be rallying for women. I think it's weird when women hate other women for whatever reason. So she. I feel like that there's an aspect to it of that's a woman doing the podcast, help a lady out kind of thing. But it would still be great if we could get her on to do something with us. She's an amazing woman.
Yeah.
She does a lot of good in the world, and I feel like she would be great to talk to. David Herman.
Have my wife reach out to her.
Yeah. Have your wife reach out to her. David Herman. He's an original cast member on Mad TV from back in the day and stuff like that. It would be great to just have somebody that's as funny. He's like a real fun. He's an actual funny guy. He's an actual comedian.
Absolutely.
So, we were just talking about that. We were talking about horror movies. The Popeye Slayer Man, Winnie the Pooh, Pinocchio.
2 of them.
They got Pinocchio. Well, those guys that did
also.
Yeah, the guys that did the Winnie the Pooh thing. We were talking about the Blood and Honey.
Yeah.
They've got 3 of those. They've done 2 this year. They've done 2 already that have been released. The Winnie the Pooh things. They got a 3rd one coming out in a couple years.
Sure.
But they're doing Bambi the Reckoning. They're doing Pinocchio. They're just doing, and I like that.
Oh, it's great. It's great.
I love it.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. You guys want to stick around? We're going to do the main episode now.
Yeah, we're going to get the main. Whoa, 47 minutes, man. I was talking. Hey, I was surprised I could keep it going. Okay. Well, I used to. I'm a streamer. I've done a little bit of talking to my one person for 8 hours.
You can talk, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. I'm going to run the opening, and we'll get started, guys.
Bwaaa trash fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares but no one cares, deep in the heart of Texas. Here we go!
Hey there, folks.
Hello.
How is ya?
It's actually me and Mike.
Welcome to Bwaaa.
Yeah, welcome to
King of the Hill Podcast. I'm Mike.
And I am Rusty.
He's Rusty.
You all know.
All right, folks. We are I'm gonna compact this just a little bit because I am feeling like poop. It's sinus stuff down in my chest and all that. So I'm going to move on. We are doing King of the Hill season 7, episode 6, or in the year of our Lord 6 ABE 22.
So this would have been a finale.
Last season, almost the last episode. Yeah.
The
It's called The Sun, SON, also Roses. I have it down as airing November 24th. I think it was in December, though, wasn't it? Or November 31st.
Let's see.
Or something like
December 8th,
Okay,
2022 is the 6th episode
There's
of
always
season
one
7.
thing that I don't change on my script.
It is the 132nd episode of King of the Hill. And I'll go ahead and knock some of this stuff out real fast. It's written by Dan Sterling, and it was directed by Dominique Polsino, and the supervising director on it was Clay Hall. The director, Dominique, also has other credits for King of the Hill shows, and I don't think we've done any of his episodes yet. This might be the first one that we've done. No, we did Pretty Dresses, Peggy Makes the Big Leagues, Dale Tech, and
You're talking about Dominic
Bystand
Polsino?
Me. Yeah, Dominique Polsino. He's done a few shows, and shout out to Gary Yap. Thanks for watching. If you see this, Gary Yap, we would love to have you on, buddy. Whenever you're ready, you just let me know.
All right. So this one says Bobby ditches his towel manager responsibilities on the football team to work on growing his roses.
Yeah, which is one of those things that Hank's like, oh my God, the boy wants to grow roses. God damn, so it's kind of again, it's Bobby doing something. Bobby ended up doing something different, and I like this one because of the cannabis element, I guess. I think it's funny that Hank goes to a head shop and he doesn't realize that he's in a head shop.
And they never realize.
There's like Legalize It by Peter Tosh playing in the background and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't like reger to Hank that he's standing in a head shop.
No, as a matter of fact,
which is kind of weird.
At one point he says, I guess this is a rose growing shop for kids.
Yeah.
Like that's a thing.
While you were gone, I was telling them about one of the guests that I have lined up for whenever I can get him pinned down. He actually
That's the one we were going to do this last week.
No.
Oh,
Somebody else.
Okay.
So he has licensing to sell licensed King of the Hill merchandise.
Oh, wow.
His name's Mauricio Alvarado. He's out in LA, but he also does restorations for Fleischer Studios.
Oh,
for
goodness.
Fleischer cartoons. So he's out there restoring Gumby and stuff like that. So he's going to be a guest. Well, I thought it was cool because Hank is wearing a tie-dye shirt in this show. And that guy at one point had a run of tie-dye shirts with Hank Hill's face on them.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. That's cool. All right. So we start in the Hill driveway and kind of that backyard. Hank is throwing the football to Bobby, trying to get him to catch it.
He's trying.
And of course, it's going right over his head. All four guys are standing there. So Dale, Bill, and Boomhauer are all standing there just kind of watching. He says, "Go long, Bobby." He goes, "I got it," and it just goes right over his head. Lady Bird, of course, runs right after it. He goes,
Lady Bird could probably catch a football better than Bobby at this point.
Oh, dang it, Bobby! Football tryouts are in 2 days. He goes, "So I'll just be running back. That was your position, right? They have to give it to me." I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true.
I don't think
that's the way that works.
You get something just because your dad was doing it. No, that's
he goes, "Son, you don't get to be running back just because your dad was. We fought a whole war with England over that." No, we didn't, Hank. But okay,
we did not fight.
Sure.
It was the Yorks and the Lancashires. That's the two fighting parties.
He gets down on one knee, kind of like a coach would, if he were trying to get something across to a player. He says, "Maybe you should go out for center. It'll allow you to put your God-given immobility to good use." That is a rough dig on Bobby right there.
That is a rough dig.
Hank doesn't realize he's just made. You're an immobile child is what he's saying. He goes, all right. Bobby gets into like a 3-point stance, with the ball down between his legs. He says, ready, set, hike. Nothing happens.
Nothing.
Bobby, snap the ball. He goes, this ball is the only thing holding me up right now. Which I thought was a good joke.
Yeah. There was actually yesterday they had, it's like the Navy All-American football game.
Yeah.
So it's like the best of the best at a high school football.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of King of the Hill in one particular part of the game. So there was a kid who's center, and he went to hike the ball to the quarterback, and he hiked it into his nuts. he like hiked the ball into his body and it like tumbled out.
Yeah.
So it reminded me of like if that was Bobby as center, that's how Bobby would have done it. Even though the kid is like a 5-star recruit for college.
High school football.
I thought it was funny.
I was required to go to a Baptist high school, and they had a 6-man football team. So of course I wanted to go out for football, or I thought I did. So I went through the 2-a-days, did all that kind of stuff. I was in 2 games, guys, and I was offsides like 6 times. So
that's awesome. Well, I imagine you were probably, I mean, you're a tall guy now. So I imagine in high school you were probably football like material as far as size and shape.
For a 6-man team, I was great.
Yeah, for 6-man, yeah. You're going to be like a 5-star recruit for a 6-man team.
Yeah, that's right. But I was terrible at it.
Did you guys ever play Penelope?
I don't know if they played Penelope
because that's the only 6-man team that.
After that, I quit and I started breaking into things.
I had a friend. Yeah, my friend was kind of the same way. So he had pretty much dropped out of the school that we went to all our lives, the local La Vega school. Went to charter schools for a little bit, and then ended up at his grandma's in Penelope. And he was on the football team all the way up until mid-season, and then like he just dropped out of high school. And it was kind of funny because he drops out of high school the year that they won state. So if he would have stayed with the football, and he was a decent football player, he was a wide receiver for him, and he was actually pretty decent. And he drops out mid-year.
That does suck.
And then they go all the way and get state rings. And I told him, I was like, I told you to stay with it, because I would always get on his ass because I always thought he was too smart to be stupid.
Right.
And I was like, I told you, dumbass, do not quit the damn team. Do not quit school. Just finish your senior year out, and you'll finish with like, it'll be good for you. And
Artie does say that Bobby isn't sports athletic, but he dances well like a young Jackie Gleason, says Con.
Yeah, that's what Con said. Yeah.
All right. So Dale's standing behind Hank, and he says, I know what you're going through, Hank. Joseph doesn't want to follow in my footsteps as towel manager. He wants to be quarterback. Like, that's a bad thing.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. Yeah, Luke, Texas has a lot of small towns. Yes, so there is a big
and it's a lot of tap schools also. The private schools.
Like privates and charters and religious schools and stuff like
schools, that. Things like that.
We got a lot of that. So there's a lot of 6-man.
I got kicked out of that school twice.
They don't exist anymore, do they?
Yeah, no, they went out of business. They went out of business. I win. That's how that works.
Imagine how does a school run out of business? That's crazy.
I don't know, man.
Sorry, we just can't fund this operation anymore.
They were fucking terrible. So Bill's standing there, and I think this is the only line Bill has in the whole thing. He says, maybe Bobby could be towel manager. He goes, I want Bobby to compete for a sport on the team. I don't want it just handed. And then Dale, of course, gets his ire up because he was the towel guy. He goes, handed it. Towel tryouts are brutal. And word down at the laundromat is there's this girl, Kathleen. She's won the beat. Spent the last 3 summers folding linens at Bed Bath & Beyond. I love that. Hank says, well, at least you'd be part of a team. You get to hear the coach's pep talk. Yeah, this might work. Bobby says, sounds good to me. I love towels. I'll just be like that bear in the fabric softener commercial. And Hank's just like, oh, God. So now we go over to the football field. And they're doing tryouts, is what it looks like to me. The coach sees Joseph complete a play, and he's like, nice, Gribble. And then Bobby says, he throws a towel at him, and Bobby's like, I take a lot of baths. He's happy to be the towel guy because he takes a lot of baths.
That's funny.
The coach blows the whistle. Both of them, him and that Kathleen girl, fold towels real quick, and then he gets it because he's the best at it.
He's the best at it
because he takes a lot of baths.
He's Bobby.
Now we've got all
he's
four.
He's the best at domestic stuff.
We've got all 4 of the guys in the alley. Dale says, so I finally got up the guts to ask Nancy for a raise in my allowance. Did not go well.
That's funny.
That is a great one. Yeah.
Also,
a great little titular thing between.
Yeah. Them. Also, a snippet I forgot at the beginning. So the show is called The Sun Also, or the Sun Also Roses. It's a reference to the title of a book by Ernest Hemingway. The Sun Also Rises. And the voices that are in the show, the notable voices, it's Phil Lamar. Betty White? No, Betty White.
Really?
No, Betty White.
I swear to God, the Lady in the Rose story is Betty White.
Yeah, I thought it was too. It's The flower salesman Ricky is David Herman. David Herman and Johnny Wick are the stoners in the Stems and Seeds place.
Who does the big guy?
Michael Clark Duncan.
Oh, okay.
So Michael Clark Duncan, John Coffey.
The Green Mile.
The Green Mile. He's also in Armageddon too.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was
dead,
funny.
right?
Yeah, he has passed away. He's since passed. Which I always thought was kind of funny that
he's dead.
That he was an astronaut. The guy okay, Mike. I just real quick tangent.
Yeah.
Would it be easier to teach some of the most intelligent human beings on the planet to how to drill? No, this is what I'm saying. Like astronauts, would it be easier to teach astronauts?
Black Ant says it is Betty White.
Oh, Betty White is the voice.
Yeah,
okay, well, Artie
forgot
forgot to put that in his notes. I was just going by Artie's notes.
Yeah, I got you.
But imagine, would it be easier to teach some of the smartest people on Earth, astronauts, how to drill, or would it be easier to teach some of the dumbest humans on the planet, oil field workers, to how to be astronauts? I feel like it would have been easier to teach the astronauts how to do their job than them to do the astronauts' job.
Very much so.
Okay, I just didn't understand that. Yeah.
All right, so Bobby and Joseph ride up on the bikes, and they're already in leather jackets, which is weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
They're wearing their leather jackets. Bobby rides up and he goes, "I did it, Dad. I'm the new towel manager, though I couldn't have done it without Joseph. He worked up quite a sweat making quarterback." And all the guys there, they're like, "Oh, great. That's great. Way to go. Way to go." And Hank just, he's like, "My boy is on a team, not a squad, not a club, a team." I mean, there is a difference there for him in that sort of thing.
Also in the Instagram chat, I just want to say hi to Tubular Tard and Feminist Peggy. Escúchame. Yeah, we had Feminist Peggy on. So if everybody wants to go back in our archives and go look, we had a great interview with Feminist Peggy.
Luke says, remember those two movies came out at the same time? They're basically the same movie. And then Black Ant says, "Oh, hey, good cat." Black Ant says, "This is Betty White's second and final appearance in the series. She also played Hank's mom's friend in the Escape Party Island."
Oh, cool, awesome. Yeah, rest in peace to Betty White.
God, she was a funny lady.
When I worked at the candy factory, I used to pass by an old they had an advertisement that was it was a newspaper article, of Betty White's doing. It was like, hey, Betty White did this ad for him, kind of thing. So it was always cool. I used to see Betty White
was it
every
the
morning.
Snickers thing?
Yeah, it was a Snickers thing because it was like, "Are you hungry? Grab a Snickers," and it's like a football player, but it's Betty White
on a football field.
And then Betty White gets tackled. Yeah.
All right, so now we're back at Tom Landry Middle School. It's the next day. We're at the football field. Joseph throws an interception. The guys are up in the stand watching, and Dale stands up and goes, "Yeah." Hank is like, "Dale, what are you cheering for? Joseph just threw an interception." And he goes, "Huh? Oh, Bobby just handed off the fresh towels, put the dirties in the hamper, and didn't fumble once. That's a hat trick."
I absolutely.
So he is watching Bobby mess with towels rather than watching his own kid be quarterback.
That's typical fashion for him. But he can't. I feel like he can't relate to his son and what his son's doing. But he can. I feel like him and Bobby Hill, they could kind of level.
I'm kind of amazed that John Redcorn wasn't there, like peeking out the corner and watching.
Joseph he is. Play, he's probably like he's probably like standing underneath the bleachers and looking through the crack,
right, yeah,
looking through people's legs to see him.
Yeah, well, maybe looking up people's legs.
Yeah, maybe you're
if there's some
looking for his next victim.
Yeah. Hank says, "Really? Well, all right, go Bobby. Show that hamper who's boss." The coach blows the whistle and he says, "Good practice, boys. Whataburger's on me." I just love the fact that he throws in Whataburgers.
Yeah.
And then he yells over to Bobby as everybody else is leaving. He goes, "Hill, you ain't going anywhere until every jock strip is as clean as a surgeon's mask." So Bobby's like, "Oh, okay. He doesn't get to go to Whataburger or whatever." Hank walks up to him. "Hey, towel manager, got a little time for an old running back?" He goes, "This stinks. All I do is get towel snapped by the players and yelled at by coach." He goes, "He yelled at you? Really? What did he say?" Like he's excited that the coach yelled at his son.
Yeah,
he goes. He said, "Hill." He goes, "Oh, he knows your name. Well, that means you're really part of the team. Well, looks like you got some hard work ahead of you. Enjoy it because you earned it." And he just walks off like he didn't take anything Bobby said in. He was just excited that the coach knew who he was and Bobby is part of the team.
It's kind of shitty.
Yeah,
Hank.
It does suck. Bobby stands there and he's just stuffing dirty towels in a sack. Now walking home, Bobby has what I call that Charlie Brown sad walk, right? Where you got the head down and you're just kind of walking and he's pushing his bike. He stops and he sees those roses growing in Khan's yard. Min comes out and says, Bobby Hill, those roses not squirt water. If that's what you're looking for. She thinks that he's over there thinking that those roses squirt the freaking water.
Yeah, these roses don't squirt.
He goes, oh,
roses don't squirt.
She goes, I started growing roses after the doctor cut off my Xanax. Very relaxing to have total control over another living thing. Bobby says, mind if I try? She goes, okay, but just one. He says, oh, this is kind of nice. And they smell so much better than jock straps. And then the weirdest thing that I've ever heard men say, she goes, maybe to you. So does she like the smell of jock straps?
She does like this. She does like the smell of jock straps. You know, men's a little freaky.
Men is a little freaky.
Now
we're back at the Hill house. Peggy has served up some hot dogs and mac and cheese. And she looks over at Bobby and says, Bobby, are you sniffing glue or feeding a wounded bird? Either way, I will not have it at my dinner table. He goes, oh, no. It's a flower, Mom. It's from Mrs. Susan Newsonphone's garden. He goes, Mom, you ever think about growing roses? She goes, of course not. Do you think I want my house to look like a grave?
That's actually Artie says that the feeding a wounded bird part is a reference to Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that.
I didn't either.
Yeah, it's kind of like the mouse. And she says, you want my house to look like a grave? And then Hank says, now hold on here. I don't want to hear about any roses unless we're talking about the Rose Bowl. Hey, maybe you could towel manage that someday. He goes, I'm not sure. He goes, good point. You got to hone your skills. The game this week will be a real test. It'll be your first time folding in front of a crowd. Quick, son, show me what you got. Throws a towel at him. I don't like how Hank doesn't listen to Bobby in this one.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, he comes around, but he doesn't listen to him at first.
Not right away.
Now we're at the Megalomart, and I've got a question about this once we get through it. He is at the Megalomart, and you know, if you know anything about roses, they come up as just sticks to begin with, sticking out of the dirt. You know, there's really nothing there.
Yeah, nothing. It's just like a rough looking bush.
And so he's in the garden center looking through, and the guy at Megalomart's like, looking for a plant. He goes, which one of these sticks is going to turn into roses? He goes, that one maybe. I don't know. I just got transferred from fabrics. I don't know why every guy that's like that I do that voice for, but that's their voice.
Yeah, that is the voice. Yeah.
He says it says roses. He's looking at the tag. He goes, yeah, I told you. Okay, the tag says they need food and water and sun and dirt and love. He goes, can I substitute extra love for sun? I kind of have to hide these in my bedroom closet. He goes, no way, man. They'd be going up against the tag unless, okay, I know someone who can help you, but the problem is that he's at another store and like you're at this store. And he goes, I have a bike. Goes, oh, that changes everything. Changes everything.
Yeah.
All right. So Bobby goes over to this other store, which is called Stems and Seeds. And again, like you said, Peter Tosh has legalized it. I started to say Daniel Tosh. Peter Tosh has legalized it as playing. So reggae music's playing.
Actually, speaking of Daniel Tosh, he started a podcast. So
I like his show.
He got bought out of his contract for the Tosh.0 show.
Yeah. He had to sit out for a while.
He had to sit out for a while. And then he started the podcast. And what I appreciate about that podcast is he doesn't talk to celebrities.
No.
His first guest was his wife's gynecologist.
Yep.
So y'all go check out Tosh.0.
Yeah, Tosh's podcast is really good.
It's funny as shit. Show. I really like it. I always like Tosh. I never really liked the Tosh.0 show, but I always like Tosh.
I like when he'll occasionally come on and do an emergency podcast. So like he'll come on and he'll be like sirens, like woo woo woo, emergency podcast.
Yeah.
Like he had one when Aaron Rodgers came out and said something. And he just made fun of Aaron Rodgers for
the whole time. Yeah. No, I really do like him. He's good.
Really
he's very observational.
By the
his
way,
humor is extremely observational.
I know it's not a sports podcast. It is a Sunday, so I'm thinking about football. I just want y'all to understand that I saw a thing the other day. I grew up an Houston Oilers fan. And then they moved to Tennessee. I followed along with them. You know, Rusty watches the Texans.
Well, you can come back to Houston anytime you like.
I get that. I'm not going to do that. But I was a Titans fan. And I say was because the last straw on this camel's back is going to be, I saw a report the other day that they're thinking about signing Aaron Rodgers to a 1-year contract. Aaron Rodgers goes to Tennessee. I am completely done.
I read that too. Well, you can come back to Houston anytime you like. You know?
No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start rallying and picketing and trying to get a team started in San Antonio.
Yeah, they should start a San Antonio team. I'm not sure why San Antonio doesn't have a team, honestly.
I think it's mostly the Spurs wanting to be the only sport in town.
Yeah, they probably lobby against it.
Yeah,
but basketball's dying slowly. So
they are. They're in. He walks into this Stems and Seeds place. It's obviously a head shop. Lots of bongs and things everywhere. We used to have a couple of head shops here in town before it became like CBD. It was just a head shop, and they sold bongs and grinders and stuff like that. And they would get raided probably, I don't know, once a quarter.
Yeah.
Every one of the stores would get raided and shut down. And then they just open again. I do not understand our company, not company, our country, our states, and our counties' affiliation with marijuana. It does not make any sense to me. Do it as long as you want to do it until we come in and shut you down. That makes no sense. Also, I think it's super unfair, and it's bad business practices. Yeah, for tobacco use only.
Yeah, Wizard of Oz. They're the big one.
Yes, I think that it is a bad. And if Jordan's still on here, she'll know what I'm talking about. It is bad business, and you are asking for problems in the fact that these weed shops, even the legal ones, can only deal in cash. That is terrible for these people that work there.
Yeah,
and it's either legal or it's illegal.
Well, some of that's changed, Mike.
Stop.
Some of that's changed. So the banking thing is there's banks that have started just to help those people out.
Yeah, but Visa and MasterCard won't let them do it.
Yeah, Visa and MasterCard won't do you can't do stuff like that. But like there's places where people can keep their money safe now more than there was before. Yeah. But also we're in this weird gray area right now with there was a farm bill in 2019. Might be the only good thing that Donald Trump did during his presidency was pass that farm bill. So what that farm bill did is it allows for what they call THCA to be sold. And right now it's being sold all over the country. All 50 states sell THCA. There's some, I think there's like one or two. There's a movement starting to try to stop it.
Our state, Texas, wants to make all THC illegal.
But I don't think that's going to work. I think if they were going to do that, they should have did that at the start. Because what happens now is there's too many people and too much tax revenue that's being created by that they could lobby for it all they want. But there's going to be somebody that's in Texas government that is making money off of it right now as we speak somewhere.
Our government
and they're going to block that shit.
Our government in Texas has never been good at this kind of stuff. And I reference the state lottery we have. The state lottery was brought into this state under the guise by Ann Richards. As our governor, and it was brought in under the guise that we would make all of this money and it would go straight into education.
It just goes to a fund.
Instead, it goes straight into a slush fund because of a loophole, and schools still don't have money. Teachers still don't get paid. And so our government here in this state is really good at screwing those things up.
They are. Well, there's that one thing that they're trying to do, I guess. I know that I know that some teachers have gotten it. So they have like this, it's like a program. If you get high ratings every year, that you have the opportunity to make up to whatever it is. So
it's bullshit. They're going to figure out a way not to pay you.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Also, just let teachers grow weed. There we go. We solved both those problems.
Yeah.
All right. So he's in Stems and Seeds. It's a head shop. He comes in. These guys look at him and go, "Can I help you?" He goes, "Yes. Ricky at the Megalomart told me to see about growing stuff indoors." And the guy, one of the guys says, "Hey, don't say anything. Don't say anything." He goes, "He told me to tell you I'm cool." So he looks at him and goes, "Oh, he's cool." I mean, that's all it took. Just tell him I'm cool.
Yeah.
He goes, "So what kind of herbage you growing?" He goes, "They're roses." He goes, "Oh, well, those are legal now. You can grow those outside." He says, "My dad doesn't like me outside unless I'm on a football field. He only wants me to do stuff that you can win." He goes, "You tell your dad that Lao Tzu said the wise stay behind and go ahead. They want nothing and have everything." Bobby's like, yeah. Huh? He goes, "It means competing against others is not the way to happiness. You want to know more? Check this out." And he hands him a book that's called That Was Then, This Is Tao, in Chinese philosophy. And he goes, "Oh, Chinese philosophy, huh? Is that why you guys seem so happy?" They both look at each other and they're just like, it's very good. Now we're at the Hill House. He is setting up.
You missed. One cannot cause growth. One can only lead growth.
Yes, that's exactly right. But he's saying that in his closet as he's setting this stuff up.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And so he's setting up his grow room. Here's my problem with this. How is Bobby affording any of this stuff? All of this stuff costs money, and we're going to find out it costs big money.
Well, I think that Bobby isn't one of those kids that he might just be fiscally responsible with his birthday money and things like that.
See, I would think he'd be buying like Super Puncher or whatever, a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
But I haven't seen him play video games in a bit, so maybe so. All right, so now we're at the football game. Joseph gets sacked. Up in the stands, Hank and the guys are sitting there, and he goes, "Oh, we're getting skunked. How is this happening?" And then you see Dale next to him with the binoculars. He's looking down the field, and he goes, "Oh, my God, where's Bobby?" He goes, and then you hear Joseph, "Blue 32, blue 32." And what you see is Bobby's not out there, so all the towels are really dirty. Everything gets very slippery. There's mud everywhere. I cannot believe that a towel boy is this important, but
crucial part of
whatever.
the team.
Anyway,
yeah, those football players too lazy to wipe sweat out of their own eyes.
You see sweat coming down on them and all this stuff. He throws the ball slips out. The guy doesn't know where to go. He runs the wrong way. Hank's up in the stands. No, he's running the wrong way. And then you hear Dale, I've seen this before. It's a total towel chaos. The team needs me. I'm coming, Joseph.
That's
I'm
a
coming
great
to wipe
shirt
you.
With
towel chaos.
With Dale holding a towel saying it's total towel chaos.
He goes, I'm coming to wipe you. And then Hank's just like, Bobby. And then we flash over to Bobby. He is in the closet minding his roses. And that is our first commercial break. We will take that, and we will be
right back.
You got it.
For so long.
And we are back.
And we're back.
We were just talking about a live show that I started last week. I do it every morning, Central Time, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. I keep wanting to say 10 p.m. I would be dead. But it's a music show, radio guy. So it's basically a morning show, a morning radio show. But we do it out of Texas Music Cafe.
A regional.
Yeah, it's regional. Yeah.
Well, he's a regional personality. There you go. That's what I was looking for.
So right in front of the Hill House, which is weird, Hank pulls his truck up there instead of pulling around back. And he gets out and him and Dale says, I don't know what I'm going to do when I see him. I might kill him. Talking about Bobby.
Talking about Bobby.
Weird
Yeah,
in
that
front
is
of
weird.
Hank, they go inside and they see in Bobby's room, they see a light from under the closet. And he goes, Bobby, if you're going to hide from me, at least have the guts to do it without a nightlight. And then he barges in there and he opens it up. And Bobby comes out and he goes, oh, hey, Dad, how's it going? He goes, oh, the game. It just hits him, right? He forgot all about it.
Yeah, he was too busy zenned out.
Yeah. Dale's like, it was a disaster. There was sweat and mud everywhere. Oh, God, the slipping, the horrible slipping. Hank says, you got cut from the team. Kathleen Barnes is now the new towel manager. Thanks to you, girls doing our team's laundry. Now get out of my sight. And he just kind of stands there, pregnant pause. Then he finally just leaves because they're in
his house.
Hank's house.
Yeah.
I mean, he can't get
they're
out
not in
there.
his house.
Hank says, this house is going to be TP'd tonight. That's a given. Now, what do you have to say for yourself? Bobby says, well, I guess towel manager wasn't in my cosmic path. I wish Kathleen all the best karma. He says, best of what? And he kind of sniffs him, which does show you that Hank has an idea. You know, he doesn't really act on it and doesn't say anything about it, but he has an idea about what's going on. And so he kind of thinks Bobby's been getting high. He goes, what were you doing in that closet? He goes, oh, nothing. He goes, sticks, lights. Is this some kind of puppet theater? He says, they're roses, Dad. So now we transition into bed with Peggy and Hank because that should be its own show. And he is getting ready for bed. She's already in it. He goes, roses. I'm trying to teach the boy how to compete in the real world, build up his confidence a little, and all he wants to do is sniff flowers. Peggy says, oh, Hank, what's the big deal? He goes, well, now I know where Bobby gets his what's the big deal attitude. She goes, well, if it's so important to you, take him to go see a rose growing competition. He goes, rose competition? Come on, Peggy, there's no such thing. She goes, oh, yes, there is. Men goes all the time. It's probably because she's very unhappy in her marriage. She cannot say anything without taking a dig at somebody. It sucks.
Yeah, Artie, you're right. He did. He smoked a joint, and he said, "This is a funny tasting cigarette."
There is one thing here. This was in my script, but it wasn't in the episode that I watched. So Hank then says, so what? I pretend it's a sport. He'll pay attention because it's something he loves. It's like when I try to get through to you, I mention propane. That is not in the show, but it's on this script. So I don't know if it was in the original or not, if somebody wants to look that up. Next morning, we're in Bobby's room. Hank comes in there and he goes, Bobby, I got some good news, but I want you to promise you're not going to squeal like a girl. He goes, I've decided to let you grow roses. And of course, Bobby does that thing. Yeah. He shakes and squeals. I go, oh. The best part is I'm entering you into a rose contest. You get to compete against the top old women, I imagine, in the country. He goes, compete. But Lao Tzu says the way of the sage is to act, but not to compete. He goes, there, that thing you just said, that's what I'm trying to fix.
That's funny.
Son, you've got to try at something and give it your best shot. You like flowers? Well, make us proud and be the best damn rose grower in the town. Now, what do you say, tough guy? Are you ready to grow the hell out of some roses? Bobby's like, you bet I am. He goes, whoa, where are you going? He goes, oh, I'm going outside. Now that you're okay with them, I might as well put these thirsty little piggies in the ground. You know Hank loves that, thirsty little piggies.
Yeah, he does.
Thirsty little piggies in the ground. Now, where did I put that floppy gardening hat? Hank's like, ooh, you can't grow them outside. People will see you and steal your gardening secrets. You'd better stay in the closet until you win. Then you can plant them out in the front yard. If anybody gives you any guff, you can show them your trophy or sash. Or sash.
Yeah.
A sash. Bobby really wants a sash. All right, next. We got Hank pulling up to the lawn store. It says lawn store and garden shoppy. So there's an E on the end of it. And then on the little marquee thing, it says Rose Show sign up. So this is where you go and you sign up for the show.
Yeah, Luke said that line. Everybody says that line. They all remember it. They said that Luke said it's in the DVDs. So if it's in the DVDs, it's on the Internet Archive. One. Yeah, you can go to the Internet Archive and they've got
Hulu,
the whole show. Yeah, they've got the whole show on Internet Archive that somebody ripped from DVD. So
there you go.
That line's
we have all
on
the
that
DVDs.
One.
You know, one of our fans sent us all of them.
Luke, I think, is the one that actually sent them.
Oh.
Luke, are you the one that sent the DVDs? I know there's a guy named Luke, I think, that sent them. I don't know.
So he walks into the store and there's a bunch of guys gathered around a riding lawnmower. And you overhear them talking about it. Check out that engine. It hauls so much ass I could drive it to work. Yeah, she's a monster. Hank is kind of sneaking in the back because he doesn't want people to know why he's there. He then takes a can off of the shelf and throws it over into the garden center. And he goes, oh, sorry, I'll get that. And then there's a couple of ladies standing there. And he goes, yeah, hello, ladies. I'm here to sign up for that big rose off you got going on. And then this is the one that I said was Betty White. She goes, are you that guy who just moved from Portland, grew the Madame Plantier that won Mini Princess of Show?
Plantier.
Okay. Hank says, well, I understood that one word, but grew, but I do know I am not the Mini Princess of anything. And so they laugh and they're just like, why not? Forget to prune your side buds. You know, it's an inside joke with rose growers, I guess. Then a large man, very large man, comes up to him, and you said this was who? The guy from
John Coffey. What's his name? Hold on, I got his name right here. It won't take me 2 seconds. Yeah, his name is Michael Clark Duncan.
Clark Duncan. He goes, are you that guy? He goes, he comes up and he says, here's a sign-up sheet for the show. Don't let them get to you. They'll treat anybody who wasn't sponsored by Miracle Grow lower than fertilizer. Excuse my language. Hank says, oh, no problem. So how many pounds was the rose that won last year? He goes, pounds? Is that a joke? No, I mean, I saw the pumpkin on the news. They had to carry it out on a forklift. Bigger is better at these things, right? He goes, size is only 10% of your score. There's form, color, substance, stem, and foliage, balance, and proportion. He goes, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. He goes,
go ahead. Okay, I was fixing to say I got a quick fact for the roses thing. So the first Grand National Specialty Rose Show was held in July 1st, 1858 in St. James Hall, London.
1858.
St. James Hall, London.
Wow.
They did the second one the next year, June 23, 1859 in Hanover Square Rooms, which is also in London. In addition to cut roses in boxes, bouquets, baskets, potted roses were also exhibited. They did the third one July 12th, 1860 in the Crystal Palace in Sydenham. 16,000 people attended. The American Rose Society was founded in 1892, and in contrast to the British regulations, ARS members were limited to professional nurserymen and florists. Amateur rosarians formed local rose societies, such as the one in Portland.
Societies.
The one in Portland was formed in 1889. The one in Tacoma, Washington State, was formed in 1911. The one in Syracuse was formed in 1911. And the one in Tacoma started hosting rose shows as early as 1895.
It's a big deal.
The first ARS, American Rose Society, sponsored rose show was held in March 1900 in New York City. And somebody who studies trains is called a ferroequinologist. A ferroequinologist, which means iron horse.
Okay.
I just had to add that in.
Okay.
Just a train fact. I like trains. It's
Train
one of my
facts.
things. I like trains.
We had a birthday party for my kid many, many years ago, and his is in the summer. And so not a lot of kids showed up, because they're all out of town and summer break and things like that. But I remember this one kid came up and he looks at me. He stands there. It's so awkward. And he goes, "My favorite vehicle on wheels is trains." And then he takes his Dr. Pepper and pours it over his head as he's standing there just staring at me.
That's funny.
I think that kid had some problems. So
there is an Easter egg in the show. I can't remember exactly where it is in the show, but it's like when Hank's talking to Bobby somewhere in Bobby's room. If you look on a shelf, there's a Bart Simpson doll
I've
sitting
got
on the
that written
shelf.
down. Yeah, it's
down.
right after the commercial here.
Okay.
He goes, this is Michael Clark Duncan still talking. He goes, "Cultivating roses isn't some moron." I mean, he's mad. He's like, "Cultivating roses isn't some moron hobby like lawn growing. It's science and art. You think you can just wake up one morning, flip on a pair of gardening clogs and play with the big boys? No, sir." Hank says, hey, no reason to get excited here. My wife and I are just trying to get our son involved in something easy to give him a little confidence. Because your son, a little boy, should be collecting baseball cards and catching fireflies, not spending sleepless nights trying to urge the perfect rosebud to blossom. How dare you steal that boy's innocence? Now get out of this gardening section. You make me sick. I mean,
wow.
Jeez. You went on a tangent. And that
harsh just for roses, right?
It is a little harsh. That is the second commercial break. We're going to take that real quick. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back. Hank has just gotten thrown out of the gardening center because he made Michael Clark Duncan sick.
Yep.
And now we are in the closet with Bobby again.
I am your
and
sunshine.
He's singing "You're My Sunshine" to his roses.
You make me happy. And
Hank,
that's so funny. It's such a depressing ass song.
It is.
Like
it's a
the
very
second verse
song.
is horrible. Yeah.
Hank opens the closet and he looks at him and goes, "Am I in? Am I in?" He goes, "You're in, all right, Tiger." He goes, "Oh, this is so great. I don't know if the stem massage or my singing, but these babies are really responding to something." Hank hears in his head, he hears Michael Clark Duncan's voice, and he goes, "You think you can just wake up one morning, flip on a pair of gardening clogs, and play with the big boys?" He goes, this closet is bigger than it looks. Mind if I sit in and help a bit?" And that's when over Hank's shoulder, you see the Bart Simpson doll sitting on the shelf. He goes, "You mean it? Sure. That whoopee cushion doesn't work, but you can still use it as a cushion." Hank sits down and it goes, he goes, "Oh, hey, you fixed it." Like
That's
he knew
funny.
all along
He
that
knew
whoopee
it,
cushion worked. All right, later in the closet, Hank says, "Wait, am I supposed to cut above the bud or under the bud?" And Bobby says, "Well, Lao Tzu would say that you must let the cut make itself." He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to check the American Rose Association rule book. Oh, my God, listen to all these reasons we can be disqualified. Misnaming, misclassing, unlabeled, mislabeled, stem on stem. Are we stem on stemming?" He asked Bobby. And
that sounds pretty sus.
He goes, "Dad."
Stem on stem action.
He goes, "Dad, you got to relax. Roses can pick up on your vibe." He goes, "Dang it, Bobby, cut out that Benihana talk." And then the light kind of flickers out in the closet. And it finally goes out. Bobby says, okay, don't panic. I can pick up on that too. The next thing we see is the two of them walking back into Stems and Seeds.
Stems and Seeds.
The guys see Hank, the guys that work at Stems and Seeds, the potheads look at Hank, and they're just like, oh, dear God. They start spraying stuff.
The cops here.
Fanning the air, like, to get all the smell out. And Hank looks around and goes, guess this must be some kind of rose growing store for kids. That's not a thing, Hank.
That's not a thing at all.
He walks up to the guys and goes, excuse me, sir, I need to replace this grow light. The guy goes, is that so, officer? And Bobby says, it's okay, guys, he's cool. They go, oh, okay, man. That lamp is for, that's all you have to say to these guys. I'm cool. And they're like, oh, great. Cops can say that too. He goes, oh, come on, man. That lamp is for school kids. Step up to the phototrons. They rock. They'll force your buds, increase your yield and your potency. Just call me from outer space and tell me it ain't true. Does not pick up on
he doesn't
that.
pick up on
Bobby
any
does not
of it.
Pick up on that.
He's an absolute space cadet.
Absolutely.
He's already in space.
He goes, wow, how'd you like to see that in our closet, Bobby? He goes, would I? We're going to grow the best roses ever. The guy goes, okay, this setup cost you about $2,000. Hank's like, $2,000? He goes, you got a job, right? He goes, well, I have a great job, but still, dang it. No wonder all those rose growers have sponsors. Hey, what would you fellas say to sponsoring us in our rose competition? The guy behind the counter goes, whoa, man, competition ain't really our buzz. Lao Tzu says to be better than someone is to be worse than all. Wrap your mind around that one, dude.
I actually have a quick fact thing that Artie gave us here for Lao Tzu. So Lao Tzu, he's a Chinese philosopher, obviously, and he was the author of what they call the Tao Te Ching, which is the foundational text of Taoism, which is what he is, known for responsible for the line of thought of philosophy, which emphasizes the importance of non-action, non-resistance, going with the flow to live an elevated and transformative life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bunch of hippie shit.
Yeah, but you know what? At least they used a real one in this show.
Yeah, instead of making something up.
Yeah, they didn't really make it up. Hank responds to these guys and says, well, wrap your minds around this. We'll wear Stems and Seeds t-shirts, and you can put the roses in those vases. The guys kind of laugh at him because he's pointing at bongs.
Yeah.
He goes, come on, fellas, this is important. You see, our great country, positive values are like competition. The guys behind the counter start seeing double of Hank. They're
just baked.
Tripping pretty hard. And then the last part you hear is the American Way Parts and Mines, Texas Propane Gas Association Commissioner Murray Hergarth, all of Stems. And he says all of Stems and Seeds would just sponsor us. It finally come into view. He goes, what do you say, guys? They turn around and talk to each other and say, we need more of this weed and more of this dude.
Yeah.
Then they turn around and go, we'll do it. And then they start bringing over all kinds of equipment, just piling it up on the counter. All right. So now we're back in the closet and we're seeing Hank and Bobby installing like line drippers and grow lights and all kinds of stuff.
A whole setup. A whole indoor grow operation.
They got all this shit from Stems and Seeds. And then Bobby starts singing I Am Your Sunshine again. And Hank says, and Bobby is singing and clipping and all that. And Hank looks at him and goes, whoa, what are you doing? Sloppy side bud removal requires penalization. Here, let me. And he just grabs the clippers from him. So already Hank is taking this over.
Commandeering. Yeah, that's what Hank does often, though, in these types
of
situations. Hank says, I don't want to do this. But once there's like a competitive nature to it, he kind of goes overboard.
He's involved.
It was like the hot dog thing where he got involved. Like he always gets involved in the competition aspect of everything.
And he doesn't think about how it affects his family. We get a time lapse and we see that the roses have now grown and they're ready to go. Hank says, all right, Bobby, game day is tomorrow. You're in a single vase category, so you got to pick one player to send in. Bobby looks at one of them and goes, oh, this one's pretty. He goes, well, not according to the book. If you go by the checklist, this one's perfect. He points at another one. Bobby says, but I like how mine's a little off center. It's got wabi-sabi. He goes, you can't win an argument by making up words.
Yeah, there's a little quick fact for Artie, which they kind of tell you what it is here. But it's a Japanese aesthetic concept that encourages people to appreciate the beauty of imperfection, impermanence, and incompleteness. It is often considered one of the oldest examples of minimalism in art.
I can see that. I can see that. We experience that here a lot with shiplap and black and white buildings here in this town. Yeah,
well, that's the thing is been looking for a house, and one of the things that I told the realtor is I don't want a house that was built before 1980.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
that's good
because they're all built character. Like I've walked into some of these homes that have been built within the last, since the mid 80s or late 80s, and they just, I don't know. They don't have any like, they just don't feel, I don't know. It just doesn't feel warm.
No.
But we've walked into some of these houses that were built in the 60s and stuff like that. And it's just like, there's always, because not all of them had like cookie cutter designers that were just building the houses, and they all have different.
They have a personality.
They all have like different things in each house. Like one of the ones that,
especially ones where you go down and there's a kill room or whatever.
Yeah,
that's great.
Well, one of the ones that we looked at has got like a floor, like the first floor, where it's just the normal kitchen,
good idea to have
living room, and all that, and then it has stairs that go up to just like a big, huge family room with built-in bookcases, and then it's got a balcony that goes out to like to the
that's
outside
cool.
and stuff like that. So I don't know. I feel like that wabi-sabi. That's what I'm looking. I'm looking for that wabi-sabi house.
Wabi-sabi. I love wabi-sabi on my sushi.
Yeah.
So he goes, wabi-sabi is an Eastern tradition, Dad. It's celebrating the beauty in what's flawed, like the crack in the Liberty Bell or the mole on Cindy Crawford's face. Hank says, the Liberty Bell is great, but come on. If it was in a contest with a bunch of bells without cracks, it would lose. And he's probably right about that, but that's not what Bobby's saying. He goes, Bobby says, but sometimes it's the small imperfections that make you love something even more. And honestly, if you sit back and think about this, this is kind of Bobby talking about himself.
Yeah, for sure.
He says, so what if this little rose is too short and a little too wide? It's got more personality than those other ones. He goes, but we're out to win. I mean, he just cuts it, right? And Bobby's sad about this, right?
Yeah, he doesn't realize, but Hank is. That's why I say I think Hank has a lot of the like slight tism. He's got a little bit of the autism to him.
He gets
because
very
he really
focused on things.
Doesn't pick up on a lot of social cues.
Well, like Artie said here,
or sarcasm or anything like that.
Artie said that he doesn't know what he's doing, but he's sure he can do it better than you, especially Bobby.
Yeah, Godcat says it's a eugenics parable.
True. Yes, you're absolutely right. Okay, so now we're at the Hotel Arlen, the day of the competition. Outside, it says the American Rose Association presents the Heimlich County Rose Show. We go inside, and an old guy has walked up to Michael Clark Duncan, and he says, Morgan, my former student, your flowers look like an anus with a stem. What a dick this guy is.
Horrible.
What a dick. The big guy gets a flower out of the box, and it's got like smoke coming out of the box, like dry ice kind of thing or whatever. I mean, it's a big deal. He goes, what do you call it? He goes, oh, hello, Monroe. I crossed an Oakington Ruby with a dainty Bess. I call it Ruby, my dear, but I might as well call it sending you home crying to your mama. And then the old guy walks off. And then we see Michael Clark Duncan. He takes off his regular shirt and puts on a shirt with just roses all over it and stuff. It's kind of cool. Now we're at Bobby's table. And it's Hank, Bobby, the flowers, and the guys. Yeah, Shitty Monroe. That's great. And then the guys from Stems and Seeds are there. Hank, like you say, is wearing a tie-dye Stems and Seeds shirt, right? So they're advertising for this place. Those guys say, dude, all these roses remind me of my mom's tattoo, but they don't smell like arm. What a fucking weirdo. He goes, Hank says, you better let me do that too, son. And so he gets out the flowers. He does the stuff. The guy from Stems and Seeds is like, oh, nice, dude, nice. He goes, okay, I'm just going to give it a final miss. So it looks like the morning dew is dripping off its velvet petals. And again, Hank has taken over. Bobby has nothing to do here. It's not Bobby's competition anymore. Now it's Hank's. Big guy comes by and goes, I must say, nicely spiraled center. Good work, kid. Hank looks at him and goes, you hear that, Bobby? You could win this thing. One of the guys from Stems and Seeds says, dude, that $1 million is ours. Hank's like, there's no cash prize. He goes, the other guy says, it's just for honor, dude. He goes, dude, that honor is ours. Bobby says, Dad, why don't we turn it a little bit to the side so this leaf looks like it's waving to the judge? He goes, well, all the pictures in the book are from this angle. Bobby says, but if it's turned away a little, it's more coy. It's like, hey, have we been properly introduced?
I like
here,
that.
like
Bobby's
this.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's trying to set the stage for what he likes and what he thinks is pretty. And Hank says, oh, hands off. You're queer in the spiral. He goes, come on, it's my. And then they fight over it. It falls on the ground.
Bruises it.
Hank goes, oh, dang it, Bobby, it's bruised. And the guys from Stems and Seeds, you tweaked our rose. Hank says, "Oh God, I'm gonna have to remove some interior pedals. Get me my deckled edge shears and my stamp tongs." Those guys run over there and do it. He is starting to kind of do surgery on the Rose to get it. And by the way, Bobby is not involved in any of this. The judge,
he's commandeered the whole show here.
Yep. The judge comes over to the thing and says, "Shears down." And he starts looking at it. Nice stature, quite voluptuous for a four-bunda. Arrow straight stem, fine balance and proportion. What is that? Hank goes, "Oh, that's nothing." He goes, "You pulled a pedal, didn't you? You pulled an interior pedal." He goes, "Yes." That's too bad. Otherwise, this Rose is truly flawless. He goes, No, wait. Have you ever heard of the Oriental deal that says something can be wrong with something, but it makes it better? And then the guy from Stems and Seeds goes, "Yeah, dude, wabi sabi." He goes, "Right, Dad. It's like that model with the wart on her face. Isn't she pretty?"
That's funny.
The wart on her face. The judge is like, "Sorry, it's flawed. You lose." And then the guys from Stems and Seeds, they completely turn on him. They're like, "You're a loser, which means I'm a loser, which means my dad was right. You blew it, man. Oh, I wish I had my Tibetan prayer beads." You go, "I'd hog tie you and leave you to rot." God almighty, they went nuts quick.
Yeah, they went pretty bad on that one.
Bobby's like, "But what about Lao Tzu?" He goes, "Lao Tzu lived in a hut and ate straw." Bobby gets sad, goes off and sits by himself with his Rose. Hank looks over and sees it. In the background, you hear a judge say, "And queen of the show to Ruby, my dear." So Michael Clark Duncan won.
Yeah, he did.
It says Lao Tzu lived.
Now that makes more sense why he was being
an
an asshole about that he didn't want anybody joining the competition.
He looks over and he sees Bobby being sad. Later at the Hill house, Bobby comes up and he sees Hank digging. He's digging in the front yard. He goes, "Dad, no, don't bury my roses. It was my fault, not theirs." He goes, "Bobby, I'm planting them." He goes, "But I didn't win." He goes, "Well, that's okay. The Cowboys don't win every year, but I'm still a big fan, and they have gun and drug problems." So Bobby says, "I was thinking about it. My singing didn't really help the Roses. My voice just isn't that good. But check this out." He pulls out a flute and starts playing it to the Rose. Yes, you're right, Black Ant. Those guys are dicks.
Yeah, they are.
He pulls out a flute and starts playing. He goes, "Oh, son." He goes, "Yeah, Dad." He goes, "You got a lot of wabi sabi." And that's it. That's the end.
It, yeah.
So, boy, it comes to a conclusion so quickly, this thing. But it's great to see Hank once again see that Bobby is a completely different person from him.
Yeah, he is.
And he needs to stop taking over. We get the credits, and then after that, we need more of this weed and more of this dude.
That was a good episode. Yeah, that was a good episode.
We got season 7, episode 6 ABE 22, The Sun Also Roses. I like this episode quite a bit. Artie, that's very good. Hashtag Bobby Sabi.
Bobby Sabi.
I like this one quite a bit. It is definitely a bottle episode, meaning it has no continuation to other episodes and no real relation. So that's why they could move it around so much. Rusty also with the Bobby Sabi.
The Bobby Sabi.
I do like these occasionally, but I do also like the ones that run throughout the show that kind of give more credence to the characters and build them up and things. But this is a great fun episode.
Yeah, no, it really was. I liked it.
Yeah, I like the guys from Seeds and Stems. All right, you want to tell people where they can find us?
You can find us at BWAAKOTH, and that's just about every social media that there is available right now currently, except for a couple of them, but we're on most, so you can find us on most.
Hey, would y'all do me a big favor? We have a thing out there called Hellhound Country. Hellhound is one word. It is a brand new audio drama show that we've put together. Hired actors, original script written by somebody in audio fiction to begin with. We've got 4 episodes out. It is a 10-episode run.
Yeah.
If you guys could go out and help us by either rating it or downloading it or both, that would be great. We would love it. And then the Stormy Chef says, "What bros?" I don't know if you're talking about the bros at the show. At Stems and Seeds, or talking about Bros, Foes, and Heroes.
We like the
which is another show we do.
We like the Stems and Seed Bros.
Yeah,
and Bros, Foes, and Heroes.
And then Artie, great episode, guys. Mahala. We appreciate you always being here. What up, bros? There we go. Got it. What's up, guys? Jordan Linville, THCA was just banned in Georgia as of January 1st.
I figured somebody would try to do it. It would be a southern state. I don't think Texas will ban it, though. I really don't think it gets banned in Texas, honestly.
So what do you do, Jordan? Do you still have stuff to sell? I would love to hear about what's going on there. Anyway, thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. You guys are what make the show. I had to go take a call here at noon, and I talked about you guys pretty much the whole time and how much you support us, and we really appreciate that. Thank you for being loyal. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you.
And thank you for being our virtual little friends out there in the world. You know, it's really heartwarming to come in here and see you guys show up.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll be back next week. Let's see. Rusty says, yeah, that's what we need, more banning. Well, get ready. So we will see you again next week. Check us out on social media. If you can check out Hellhound Country, I'd really appreciate it. And just one thing left to say.
We Matanye.
We Matanye indeed. We'll see you guys again next time. Again, thanks for being here. Bye.
Bwaaa trash fight all through the night, deep in the heart of Texas. The trailer park is nice and dark, deep in the heart of Texas. That drinks his brew and he spits his chew, deep in the heart of Texas. The TV blares but no one cares, deep in the heart of